We recording? All right, we will resume normal session. No decisions were made in executive session. And we'll return to our conversation. If you gentlemen have anything else for the record?
Yeah, just answer this, question, in a statement about do we bid these extra costs and pass them along to our customers? That's a twofold question. So the answer would have been, yes, we would have done that at that time. But when the original permit was issued, there was no P stamp, there was no this, there was no that, right? Just as ODOT doesn't require a PE stamp, Union County doesn't require a PE stamp, Champaign County doesn't require a PE stamp, Clark County, City of Springfield, City of London doesn't require a PE stamp. And if I had known back then what the future would have brought, right, through a crystal ball, and the problems that this has created financially to the company. And now now it's impacting the residents along with the fiber route. We have these such a fiber. We've got over 70 miles of fiber sitting out there in the ground, on the poles. And here we are, not able to provide services, just like yesterday. The fiber was bouncing. I get a phone call from Shell. I understand Shell has deep pockets, right? But they don't want to spend money. It comes out of someone's budget. I can't get into my fiber. I don't have a legal document that says I'm allowed to work in the public right of way. Okay, the only option I have, I was forced by the decision of the county engineer to illegally revoke my permit. Put it on private property to fulfill my agreement that I had with Shell and Savion. I can't go back to Shell and Savion 2 years later and say, hey, I need, this much more money. Not gonna happen.
Yeah, and so we discussed all of those issues in executive session with the engineer, with the county prosecutor. I mean, we're taking the points you've made under advisement. We're consulting with our legal counsel. I think our legal counsel will probably be reaching out to your legal counsel the very near future with maybe an offer on how we can move forward and work on this and settle this together.
Sure. And I just want to, so if you're a resident, if everybody understands the impact, right? If you're a resident and you live on that fiber route, right? And you want internet service. And would you pay $1,500 to get internet access?
Why would somebody pay $1,500 for internet access?
PE stamp.
Well, it also says 2 plus or minus 2 feet by a professional engineer or surveyor. So surveyors aren't $1,500.
A lot more than that.
Do you understand the requirements that the engineer is asking for? As far as,
I do.
okay, because they don't seem to be, that difficult to obtain. You're saying that there's multiple pages, that have to be approved by the engineer or surveyor, where that is not what's being conveyed to us by the county engineer. He's saying this is a pretty simple process, where an engineer would spend maybe an hour on. So engineers must make a heck of a lot more money than what I thought, if it's $1,500 to review, the plans.
So when the original RFP came out from the county,
From Rebecca,
yes. That was a requirement change during midstream, right? I told Rebecca, I told Jeff Damrath, you guys gotta get to the county because there's a change in the process, right? And there's gonna whack on a bunch more costs. So then they came and we found a local professional surveyor here in London, somewhere around this area. And he agreed to stamp the drawings, okay? Doesn't mean they're legal, doesn't mean the insurance company's gonna cover it, right? But what happens is in the industry, and Mr. Doom is an engineer, will he stamp my drawings for me for $1,500? All 40 pages, 39 pages? No, he won't do it, because his insurance will cover that. because he didn't draw it. When he's saying 2 hours for an engineer to do all that work. And 2 hours to get 2 feet accuracy. And when you just did the drawings, it take you 2 hours to do that 13,000 feet.
But that's in design, right? That's in design. I mean, when you're designing your fiber network, right?
You have to,
He's just saying that it's reviewed by a PE or PS.
right, the average right now in the industry per page. When we submit, so we have what? 500 feet, 1,000 feet, whatever the requirements are in our drawings, and we submit those. They'll just go 13,000 feet from the county line or Roseland Winfrey Center down to the Bible College. It's 13,280 feet, okay? That's 39 pages.
But that's your previous project. I'm referring to the additional project.
No, we submitted those things. Those just got submitted.
Okay.
So it's 39.
In addition,
This just happened last couple weeks ago.
yeah. So let me ask you this, they've issued over 20 permits fairly recently. Nobody's objected.
To the what companies?
He just named, Time Warner, Cincinnati Bell, maybe Lightstream or Light somebody. And I understand those are large companies and maybe can absorb those costs. Is that what you were essentially alluding to earlier?
Yeah, so Time Warner, well, Spectrum now, right? I worked there for 10 years. They got part of the RDOF money. They get reimbursed for that, right? It doesn't come out of their pocket, it doesn't come out of their budget. Cincinnati Bell, same way, right? Exact same thing. It's not Cincinnati Bell, now it's some other company that's in their name, right? But it's just CBT. And then Lightspeed or Brightspeed or whatever too, exact same thing, the old AT&T, right? They've got all this federal RDOF money. And they get reimbursed 100% of that. Is a private individual or private company that owns and operates 100% out of their own pocket, doesn't get reimbursed that money. Okay? So when you look at ODOT doesn't require that. Union County doesn't require that. 95% of jurisdictions out here today don't require that. Why does rural Madison County require? I can see if we're building in a metro area or more like we did at City of Springfield, right? And they wanted to plan a profile on when we were crossing their water lines. We did it. We didn't charge anybody else. We did plan a profiles, but we didn't have to have a PE stamp on it. We carry multi-millions of dollars. To answer Dr. Stephens' question, when things get hit, you guys need to protect the county. We carry multi-millions of dollars of liability. Okay, a perfect example is we were going on Middleburg Plain City Road. We hit a couple of farmlands. We were raining, it bubbled up. We were in there fixing it. That happens. You just don't know what's there because there's no marker. There's just not anything there. Those things happen all the time. What you don't want to happen is like gas lines and those types of things. And Brightspeed, good example, we're coming up. USIC comes out, marks their fiber in the ground. We rip out frickin' 2 miles of their fiber because they mismarked it. By law, we have to be 18 inches away. We were 5 feet away. We started yanking, we knocked down Fairbanks School District, we knocked down everything. But it wasn't our fault because they mismarked it. But we were there to help them fix it. And we helped them. We found our own dime, we helped them fix it. Because it was important to get school back up running. But when you guys review these, if I'm going across county lines or I'm going across jurisdictional lines or going into different municipalities, there's no reason, there is absolutely no reason in this world to have a PD stamp or a PS stamp. If I've got to be accurate within 2 feet on every single thing in the public right away, I mean, the cost just goes through the roof. If I'm Spectrum, yeah, I can absorb it because I got, I do $30 billion.
Are you saying that from an installer's viewpoint?
From an owner's perspective.
Okay, but you're doing the installation, right? So
We
you're
don't
saying
have all our own equipment.
if I have to install and have positional accuracy of plus or minus 2 feet, that is cumbersome and difficult as an installer?
Not as an
You gotta help
installer,
me understand.
not as an installer. So so how it works is you call 811, right?
Right.
Call 3 day, they come out, mark the lines.
Yeah.
You don't know if the phone line's back here, you don't know if the phone line's up by the road, you don't know what's in the ground, right, until you call 811. Then, when you submit your drawings, you might say, okay, I'm gonna be back on the edge of the right of way within 2 feet. Well, I can't because someone else is back there, so I gotta move my stuff forward. And by law, it has to be a minimum of 18 inches. Well, when you're putting it in, you're encroaching at 18 inches, because if you do hit them, and you're within that 18 inches of an installer, the person installing it is legally liable to pay for the damages. So you always try to stay 2 feet, whatever it is, it's 30 inches away from it. So from an installer's perspective, it's always been a given in our industry that you try to keep your stuff as far back into the public right away as you possibly can. But sometimes you gotta approach how far towards the road, just the inherent nature of the business. When we do as-built, is after it's built, we have one of the only locating systems on the planet right now that were sub-centimeter accuracy. Yeah, northern eastern. We paid for it because I'm sure you guys probably know what's going on in Madison Field right now. The shallow of the cable, the depth of the cable sometimes is this deep, right? And we identified it because I built the infrastructure, but we didn't install that piece of it. That was key with it in that. Well, when we were out trying to fix the fiber, we identified all the cable there. It's ready to kill somebody, right? So I shut the plant down. And so we went 6 months dealing with the siting board and PUCO and everybody else. Come up with a fix. We gave them a fix last November, but they decided not to do it. Well, here we are back to this, and we're gonna be taking on that remediation here probably under 1 or 2.
So you're saying if you go out to locate
Yeah, we're accurate,
your sub-centimeter accuracy as far as location goes out afterward.
our estimates. So we submit those as part of our drawings. We also give counties our data, our electronic data, so they can input that into their system, free no charge. Most people won't give that data up, but we do, because that's what we do as a business. We want everybody to know where our stuff is in the right of it.
Yeah,
So,
well, I think that's where he's trying to get to with plus or minus 2 feet to protect
back
that.
before you submit
Right,
your
that's the,
survey,
right, to say, the stamp basically says you got 2 foot plus or minus.
you have to go out and survey every single thing out there. And I can give you an example that you're looking at between, when I just run the numbers on just the PE stamp, and that's not going out during the survey, you're $6.08 a foot. That's not the PS stamp, that's not the survey, so you're probably gonna add in a couple dollars a foot, so you're gonna be almost $8 a foot to go out and to follow those guidelines that are in there. So when we submit it back, Mr. Atkins, I believe through summer, I redlined the agreement. I said, I want all this out. And then what was given back to us, or was given back to Summer, that she forwarded to me was the PE stamp, and then 20 foot of digging next to the culvert pipes. There was nothing on there about, the 2 foot. So the part that I was arguing with Summer is, why do I have to add, almost $4,000 to $5,000 per residential customer? Because I can't pass that cost on to you. I hate to do that customer that wants fiber. I am working to afford it. They're gonna absorb it and get reimbursed by the government. So how is that fair business in the county? Because now my cost, I'm gonna charge $400 a month if I can absorb that from an IRR perspective.
But with the current regulations though, you know ahead of time, am I correct? And then you can incorporate that into the cost.
Can't do that, I'm not built, I'll shut it fine down.
Gotcha. But there are current regulations, so, yeah.
I disagree with you. But when I did on this, so what I did is when I originally did on this,
Well, I'm not talking about back then, I'm talking about now.
I understand that.
Yeah,
But when I,
so you're okay with the process now because you know ahead of time
yeah, I'll shut the matter down.
what you need to do.
Yeah, no one's gonna get hurt. Done, not gonna happen.
I'm talking for a future project,
Right.
3 years from now.
We'll build,
You don't think that would be sustainable for
no,
what you do?
financially, no. I will not even build this company. Ever. It's financially not feasible for a private company. And I offered to Rob, got an email, I expect him to be at our meeting. We have all the equipment. We've got plows, we've got, you name it, we got directional drills, we've got fire splicing team, we have everything in-house from start to finish. You know, and we even thought, I mentioned it, if the county would like to have a sit-down meeting, right? And possibly even try to mitigate some of these damages, I'd be willing to partner with the county and even build it cheaper, right? Because I'm here, I've got all the equipment we do, that's what we do for a living. And I've proven that we've done over 79 miles in 2 years, on top of building for Bright Speed up in Worcester and building for Savion and building for, you know, all these other companies. And our record shows what it is. It's called the counties, where we've built with Champaign with your neighboring counties. You know, they have no problems with our installation process and when we do our restoration and everything. And, you know, we can keep your costs down. And I heard on the 2 ducts, I wouldn't do 2 ducts. I do a lot more. Because 2 ducts doesn't get you a fiber in the home. You get your core network. And if I'm a fiber provider, I don't want people in my fiber because I'll just take a snap and then my whole network's down.
Yeah, we're not providing fiber to the home,
Oh, you're not.
no,
This is strictly just for the couple.
yes.
But if it makes sense for a couple, to partner with somebody, we have the equipment, put a couple extra ducts in the ground, right? Off the fiber as it goes down the road to all those residents. It's easy to have on ramps too. What you build is basically, I always tell people, you build your highway, right? But you can't have the off ramps. What is your highway, right? Here's what we're pointing to be. But you guys, I'm coming to a point right now with my customers that I'm under contract with Roosevelt Bible College. I have to get these things up and running contractually. Savvy, I can't go out and work in the public right away. I can't get, they want that new, they have a new building up there on, Irwin Road for the solar farm. They want internet. We have fiber right there. I can't work in the right of way. So I have to take my Starlink over to them and let them use my personal Starlink. Because I can't get a right of way from it. I can't go out, Canada can't, that's what I was telling Canada yesterday, our network's bouncing right now, the solar farm, right? I'm getting a phone call from Michelle, our network's bouncing. Don't know why, but our network's bouncing. I can't have her go out, or her team go out and pull a trailer, splice trailer along the side of the right of way. And go grab the fiber that's over here in the cornfield, right? And pull it back into the right of way and do some testing on it. Because I'm breaking the law. You see the predicament on that?
Sure.
And this wasn't created by me. This was not created by me one bit. It was Mr. Doom that did this.
But that's existing fiber, right? What I'm trying to gather now is day forward with this permitting process.
I will build that. I will tell everybody to do it.
Yeah.
He's already said it's done.
I will learn,
We're not building Madison County, we get it.
right.
Yeah.
And I will tell all the residents that they're not able to get fiber to their house. They have to wait for Time Warner Spectrum, whatever's out there, which they're gonna see fiber there today. So it's financially infeasible.
Yeah, and on the other issue, as I said, you know, we discussed it in executive session, we had conversations with the engineer, with the prosecutor. I think you'll be getting, you know, attorneys can speak.
Yes,
Hopefully reach some sort of resolution in the near future, I mean, that's right,
I'm under the gun right now,
and we understand.
so your time is essence right now.
Sure, I get that. I understand that.
I appreciate it.
Very good, thank you. Okay, anything else for the good of the order?
So, yeah, my questioning is not necessarily to Sam, it's still trying to figure out if this PEPS stamp is really so difficult to come by. You know, because I did raise, concerns when Brian brought that in. Like, that is gonna add cost to a fire project, it's gonna add cost to our project. What I didn't know was how much does that cost? Is it $100? Is it $1 million? I don't know. So that's why I was trying to
He
ask.
specifically named many surrounding counties that he said doesn't require it. I'd be interested to know, is that the case? I mean,
Yeah.
he named a Union and he named a lot of surrounding counties, so.
The other thing you said, I thought was
Yeah.
interesting.
But Brian said there's a number of counties that do require, so maybe
Right.
half require, half don't. What are the true costs? I don't know. I don't necessarily,
Is there a way to find that out?
yeah,
Oh, easily.
easily.
Contact.
Well, take this permit. I'll call an engineer today. I'll call.
Yeah.
I know many PEPS and say, how much would you charge for this? I don't think it's that much, so I can be wrong. Yes.
He was talking about the engineering requirement as it relates to the 2 foot rule. But the point that I thought was interesting is that you don't call 811 oops until 48 hours prior to excavating. And if they indicate that there's something within that 2 foot area you have to adjust, well, then your engineering's inaccurate.
Right,
Yeah.
and you have to install it in that positional accuracy, that's why I was asking.
It should be in violation of the permit that happened.
I know the president of Rosedale.
I mean, I'm sure they paid for a service.
He can't find her options there. But then threatening to sue him, that it's not part of the equation.
Good. I mean, I take everything that's said with a large grain of salt. All right, anything else for the good of the order?
People wanna talk about, real estate or anything like that,
I think this is enough for today.
okay.
Just, we'll put it on the agenda for next week. All good?
I responded earlier.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think we can easily contact a few PEPS and find out how expensive that is.
Yeah, get the rates.